In the middle of all the political chaos in Israel, it appears there is a significant breakthrough in the offing. Israel may be on the verge of signing a 5-year ceasefire with Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. It appears the Palestinian Authority may be involved with the deal as well. Stay tuned for this edition of End of the Age. Well, it's really interesting what is happening in Israel today. It is coming from so many directions. We'll try to break it down for you, but it looks like something is really moving. Matter of fact, not one thing, but several things. Let's start by going to an article from the Jerusalem Post today. Egypt proposes 5-year ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. Senior officials from the Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas's military wing, and the Islamic Jihad are taking part in Egypt's strategic talks, which included offers of a 5-year ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Palestinian newspaper Al-Quds reported on Wednesday. That's today, of course. Sources in the Arabic media said that military officials were part of a Hamas and Islamic Jihad delegation that took part in a meeting in Cairo yesterday to discuss new coordination plans following the latest round of fighting. According to those same sources, efforts are being made to persuade the parties to accept a long-term ceasefire proposal that will last for 5 years. The sources pointed to international pressure exerted on the heads of the organizations to restore stability and reach a deal. A source close to Hamas noted that the organization had not been updated on the artificial island project by mediators. Now, the artificial island project is something brand new. They're planning on building an artificial island off the coast of Gaza for different purposes and to expand the Gazan territory. However, he did not deny that proposals were made regarding infrastructure-related projects in the Strip. In late October, the London-based Al-Arab Al-Jadid newspaper reported on the understandings that allowed the ceasefire agreement between Israel and the Islamic Jihad after 4 hours of negotiations. The Islamic Jihad leadership agreed to the final version, in which Egypt offered that Israel agree to 3 demands, and listen carefully. 1, halting live fire towards young people participating in the March of Return. Every Friday, they march toward the fence. 2, halting assassinations and targeted killings. And 3, receiving a commitment from Israel to end the blockade and uphold the terms of the ceasefire. Now, let's pause there just a moment. To end the blockade is a major shift for Israel. Up until now, Israel, for the last 20 years or so, has maintained a blockade of the Gaza Strip because they wanted to control what was going in there. If they didn't, things were brought in there to make rockets, to build tunnels for war purposes. Well, now then, this agreement, supposedly, Israel is going to open up the blockade and allow free trade for Gaza. Now, this is a huge deal, ladies and gentlemen. A proposed long-term Gaza truce brings Hamas back to Judea and Samaria. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, would go for it. Very interesting. Now, this article comes from Debka File on the 29th of November, just a few days ago. Israel, the Palestinian Authority, and Hamas are amidst negotiations for a multifaceted deal via Turkey, Qatar, and the U.S. for ending rocket fire from Gaza and affirming a Palestinian power-sharing agreement. This corridor is a long-term Gaza truce, while costly for Israel, is favored by its military command. Now, do you see what's going on here? You've got Turkey, you've got Egypt, you've got Qatar. There are many different, the United States is involved, Israel is involved, the Palestinian Authority is involved. The article goes on to say, but they have turned silent in the last few days now that this policy is seen starting to bear fruit. Not only has Hamas slowed its terrorist operations against Israel, but the hidebound Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, under the octogenarian chairman Mahmoud Abbas of Fatah, is stirring into life.
About our trip, it was a wonderful experience. We totally enjoyed the time spent with other believers, worshiping and experiencing the places where Christ walked. One of our favorites was being on Mount Moriah, where the Holy of Holies are, the Dome of the Spirit. And the teachings that Brother Baxter did was so enlightening. It was so much to take in. It will take us another month or two to really grasp the full extent of the knowledge we received on this trip. Our tour guide in Israel was fantastic. He was very knowledgeable. I think God chose him just for us. Thanks, Jana. Our lives will never be the same. We will try to do this tour again. Mike and Julie L., Cayman Islands.
Join us May 1st through May 16th, 2020, for a trip to the wonderful land of Israel and the Holy Roman Empire reborn.
We've seen Bible prophecy fulfilled like never before. From the halls of the United Nations to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Endtime Ministries continues to reveal the Bible prophecy in the news headlines around the world every day. Whether it's through our broadcast or online at our Jerusalem Prophecy College, your gifts enable us to put vital materials in the hands of those who need it most. Because of you, we continue to replace fear with faith in the hearts of Christians around the world. We will continue to see prophecy come to pass at an even swifter pace. We need your support. Your donation of any amount enables us to continue to broadcast and be a voice in the ever-growing censored media. To become a partner or give a one-time gift, visit endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now. That's 800-363-8463. Go online now. Visit endtime.com.
Now, before we go on, let's pause a moment to really assess where we are. We are 7 days away from the time that Israel either gets a government or else new elections will be held either late February or early March. This will be the third elections within 1 year. But there's so much moving right now, I just got the feeling something is up, that perhaps, well, there's something. We'll be telling you more about as we go along. But the spirit of change awakening in the two rival Palestinian factions, Hamas and Fatah, may not be altogether good news for Israel, especially when Turkey's president, Erdogan, is a key player. On a visit to Qatar on November the 26th to inaugurate a Turkish military base established to secure its ruler, Sheikh Tamim al-Thani, in his dispute with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. His talks with the emir centered strongly on plans for Palestinian presidential and parliamentary elections to be held for the first time in 12 years. Now you got to listen really close here. Erdogan and his host devised a formula for overcoming the long feud between the Fatah leader Abbas and Hamas's Ismail Haniyeh. Now, let's just remember, they had their last elections back in 2006. Now, the Hamas won the elections overwhelmingly, and within a few days, they kicked Mahmoud Abbas out. He was still the president of the Palestinian Authority, but they kicked him out. He's been confined to the West Bank since that time, and Hamas and the Islamic Jihad has been the unconditional ruler of Gaza in the south. So there have been two Palestinian entities. Now, with all of these negotiations, they're trying to put it back together. So here is what Erdogan, the leader of Turkey, has come up with. They proposed that the rival factions agree in advance on the results of the election. Did you get that? We're going to have elections, but we're going to agree in advance on how it's going to turn out. Abu Mazen's, that's Mahmoud Abbas's, Fatah would win a majority, Hamas a minority. The presidency would be retained by the former Hamas. Now, do you get this? They are openly proposing the elections be rigged. That way everybody goes in knowing exactly what's going to happen. So interesting. It would be a rigged election, obviously. Now, this carve-up would have two consequences. One, the Palestinian Authority and its ruling Fatah would be given a role in the Gaza Strip's civic rule, including full responsibility for expenditure, while Hamas would maintain its military arm and control of domestic security. Two, Hamas's political and religious organs would be allowed by the PA, the Palestinian Authority, to reestablish operations in the PA-controlled areas of the West Bank. So Hamas is going to have access now to the West Bank. Interesting. The Qatari sheikh and Turkish president offered to personally vouch for this accord for the two participants. Another visitor to Doha this week was Abu Mazen. So he's been there talking to the Qataris. The Qataris handed him a personal letter of 5 pages addressed to him by Ismail Haniyeh. Now, this is the one who runs Gaza. Haniyeh runs Gaza, and he left a 5-page letter so that it would be sure to get to Mahmoud Abbas. Hamas is, meanwhile, making preparations for Palestinian elections. All its spokesmen have been ordered to desist from public statements. In another directive, Hamas ordered a halt on rocket fire against Israel, successfully applying it to the Islamic Jihad. The pause in the weekly border riots was another byproduct of progress towards an agreed truce with Israel. This hospital, now there's plans to build a hospital on the border between Gaza and Israel. This hospital would reduce the Gazans' total dependence on Israel and Egypt for medical treatment. The source of its funding is unknown, likely buried somewhere in the relations between Qatar and Washington, and possibly figuring into President Donald Trump's Middle East peace plan when it eventually sees the light of day. Now, did you catch that? So Trump is behind the scenes building a hospital, working on this ceasefire, because he knows where he intends to go. he's planning a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians. And so he's putting Hamas and Fatah together because you can't make a deal with two different entities that don't get along with each other. So they're trying to put all this together, and these negotiations are involving Egypt in the south, but also Turkey and Qatar. So we're talking about big, big players here. And before we're done, I'd like to sort of give you an opinion of where all this is headed. Nevertheless, the article goes on to say, UN Middle East peace envoy Nikolay Mladenov is also making noteworthy progress on the track he is running between Egypt, Hamas, and Israel. This buzz around the Gaza may be positive news for Israel by and large, but the price for its outcome may be high. If the Fatah-Hamas accord brokered by Qatar and Turkey goes through, Hamas's political and religious institutions will be making a comeback on the West Bank. Israel will have to find a strong guarantor as insurance that Hamas will not exploit its comeback for a return to terrorist violence against Israel. Now, could that guarantor be the United States? You probably have read already that Netanyahu is flying to Europe either today or tomorrow to meet with Secretary of State Pompeo to talk to the United States about a possible mutual defense pact. Well, that's as big a guarantor as you can get. Now, this guarantor, this time within easy reach of its central international airport. Now, we're talking about if Hamas goes back into the West Bank, I mean, they're going to be within miles of the Ben Gurion International Airport that we fly into twice a year. So when you start endangering international air flight, that simply cannot be tolerated. And so it will have to be understood from the beginning. If that starts again, we will just absolutely abolish you. We will drive you out. We're not going to put up with this. We're serious about this ceasefire. We want you to be serious about this ceasefire. However, with its politics in chaos and an interim government with a life expectancy only up until another election just months away, Israel is in no state for making fateful decisions. Now, if that's true, what's Israel doing? Play acting? Or the latest reports are telling us that Avigdor Lieberman may be on the verge of coming together with Netanyahu. If he did, Netanyahu would have a government of 63 seats in the Knesset. He only needs 60 plus one. If they made this deal in the next 7 days, and if Lieberman is in on all of these negotiations, are we getting ready to see the Trump peace plan implemented? Well, I've got more news for you, so don't go away. Still, the obstacles to overcome before this happens are pretty formidable. For instance, Abu Mazen, also known as Mahmoud Abbas, must forego his stipulation for the Palestinian elections to include East Jerusalem, or they won't take place anywhere else. Now, Netanyahu said, I talked with Trump about Jordan Valley annexation. Now, remember everything that's going on here. We're talking about negotiating a ceasefire. We're talking about Hamas moving back into the West Bank. And then we've got Netanyahu saying, I've talked to Trump about annexing the Jordan Valley. This comes from the Jerusalem Post on the 2nd of this month, 2 days ago. Recognizing the Jordan Valley as Israel's eastern border was among the topics Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed in a recent phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump, Netanyahu said on Monday. Speaking at a cornerstone laying ceremony for 12 new factories in Ashkelon, Netanyahu characterized his conversation on Sunday with Trump as very important for Israel's security. In addition to Iran, he said, we also spoke at length about the historic opportunity that we have in the coming months, including the Jordan Valley as the recognized eastern border of Israel, and also about a security pact with the U.S. Now, they've been talking about this for a long time, but now it appears to be serious. A security pact with the U.S. means if Israel were in trouble, the U.S. would come to Israel's aid. I wonder how that would play out at the Battle of Armageddon. Would that suck the United States into the Battle of Armageddon? Another interesting question. Now, Netanyahu said these were things that we could only dream about, but which we now have the opportunity to implement. Ashkelon has been battered by rockets fired from the Gaza Strip, and Netanyahu said that there would be no long-term agreement regarding Gaza unless the drizzle of rockets ceases. We will put an end to it, he said. That is our policy. We are doing this very aggressively, and you have seen our actions over the last few weeks. Well, this sure doesn't sound like a prime minister on his last leg, does it? It sounds like a guy that's planning on being in there for a while. Well, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to think about all that. All right, now, article number 3. This comes from Israel National News. U.S. pushing Arab states on non-belligerence pacts with Israel. Now, this is today's news. The White House approached several Arab states to encourage them to reach non-belligerence agreements with Israel. Now, you know that Jared Kushner and Jason Greenblatt have been working among these Arab states for 3 years now, trying to get them ready for a peace agreement with Israel whenever Israel can finally be brought into the fold. Well, now then today, they're approaching them about non-belligerence agreements with Israel. Barak Ravid of Israel's Channel 13 News reported on Tuesday, citing Israeli, Arab, and U.S. sources. One of the Trump administration's main goals in the Middle East has been to promote the normalization of ties between Israel and the Gulf states. Non-belligerence agreements are an interim step between the secret relations Israel has with those countries now and full diplomatic relations. Can you see everything's moving? Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Palestinian Authority, Israel. They're all involved. Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, and now all these other countries. I want to name them to you in a moment. The Israeli, Arab, and U.S. sources said that President Donald Trump's Deputy National Security Advisor, Victoria Coates, met last week with the ambassadors of the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman, and Morocco in Washington. All 4 countries have secret contacts and cooperation with Israel, but no diplomatic relations. Coates raised the initiative for non-belligerence agreements, told them the Trump administration supports such a move, and asked what their positions were. The Arab ambassadors said they would report back to their capitals and return soon with an answer, according to Channel 13 News. On Monday and Tuesday of this week, a U.S. interagency team led by Coates met at the White House with an Israeli delegation led by the Israeli Foreign Ministry. The discussions focused on the initiative for non-belligerence agreements. So in the middle of what we're seeing here as chaos, there's some awful coordinated actions taking place. Who's pulling all of these strings? Is Netanyahu involved? Sure, he's got to be. So how's it going to go forward now? One of the latest stories breaking is that President Rivlin of Israel has made a proposal to Netanyahu: if you will plead guilty and and retire from being the prime minister, I will pardon you so you don't have any worry about going to prison. Now, this is just breaking today. I don't know what Netanyahu is going to do. If he knows he's innocent, maybe he'll decide to stay and fight it. If he, in fact, can put a government together over the next 7 days, and that is a distinct possibility because Avigdor Lieberman has not been able to make a deal with the Blue and White Party. He's not willing to do that, and he doesn't see a coalition coming together. So the one thing he could do is to make a narrow coalition with Netanyahu. They've done it before. They would have 63 votes. Back in Yitzhak Rabin's day, he had a coalition of 61 votes. That's all you have to have. So could they be getting ready to spring one on us? And then let's just say, now these boys are not, they're not babes in the woods. These boys are veteran politicians. I'm talking about Netanyahu and Avigdor Lieberman. They can make a deal, have a vote granting Netanyahu immunity. And that means he's free from prosecution for the next 4 years. Or could they make a deal where Netanyahu will rule for 2 years, and then he may say, you've always wanted to be the prime minister of Israel, Lieberman, you'll go in for the next 2 years, at which time I will resign and I can get my pardon. Who knows what's going on in those smoke-filled rooms behind closed doors? I'm telling you, things are moving at breakneck speed. The next 7 days will be ultimately interesting. Well, you've been listening to End of the Age. We've got another 30 minutes to go. Hope you'll stay with us, and we'll be back in just a moment. If you'd like to become a part of the Jerusalem Prophecy College, go to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com, sign up, and get going. It's important. I wish every single one of you would do it.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. This book by Irvin's grandson provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your relationship with God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at Endtime will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Get your book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for Endtime magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. Endtime has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that Endtime magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and leave them in doctor's offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
Wow, so many interesting things taking place here. It's just like coming at us from every direction. Now, there are 3 possible things that will happen over the next 7 days. Either there will be a last-minute coalition between the blue and the white and the Likud party, which they claim they're at the end of the road. It's not going to happen. Or else there could be a narrow coalition, a narrow government implemented between Netanyahu's 55 votes and Lieberman's 8 votes, which would give them 63. They can put together a government that way. The third possibility will be new elections held sometime late February or early March. Now, many people are saying, look, there's not going to be a coalition between blue and white and Likud, and we don't want to go to elections. Some of the people inside of Lieberman's party are saying to him, we don't want to go to new elections. You need to make a deal with Netanyahu some way, somehow. I cannot tell you today what's going to happen. If I were going to guess, I would say the narrow coalition between Lieberman and Netanyahu is the most likely. But I have no inside information. I may be totally wrong about that. But if, in fact, there would be a government put together between Lieberman and Netanyahu, then all the rest of these moves could come together like a quickly assembled puzzle. I'm talking about peace, a peace deal with Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. I'm talking about Trump's peace deal being put on the table. I'm talking about the Palestinians. I'm talking about the creation of a Palestinian state in the West Bank. All this could come in together incredibly fast. Now, I can't tell you for sure, but did you notice while we were going through our first half of the program that they actually are discussing the outcome of the elections? And they've already determined what the outcome will be. I looked at that, I said, are you kidding me? I mean, they're already saying, okay, Fatah is going to win the majority, Hamas is going to win the minority. And they're already lining it all out. And so everybody said, well, if that's the way it's going to be, I can accept that. It's a total charade. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, that's part of what's going on. So interesting. By the way, I'm taking your calls in this part of the program. The number to call to be on the air with me, 877-END-TIME, 877-363-8463. Now, before I go to the phones, I want to talk to you for a minute about the Jerusalem Prophecy College. All these things could throw us into the final 7 years with a matter of months, maybe even weeks. Now, I'm not telling you that's going to happen. All I'm telling you is that when they finally get a government, Trump is going to put his peace plan on the table. And it was already mentioned in some of these articles that I read to you today. So here we're sitting, not knowing whether we will be in the final 7 years within a matter of a month or two, or whether it may take 3 or 4 or 5 months. I simply cannot tell you. There's going to be a peace agreement. The Bible prophesies it's going to be so. And when that peace agreement is signed, it looks like it's almost sure to meet the conditions of the biblical prophecy. When that agreement is signed, you and I start the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon and the physical return of Jesus to this earth. Am I really saying that? He's been gone 2,000 years. To think about it, that could be 2020. That's where we apparently are right now. We'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't want to tell you anything absolutely sure that I'm not absolutely sure of, but the way everything is converging right now, it could well be so. Now, why am I telling you this? Because it's going to be so vital for all of you that are longtime listeners of Endtime Ministries or short-time listeners. It doesn't make any difference. It's going to be so important for you to really, really understand what's going on. And we have a tool that you can do that. It's our Jerusalem Prophecy College. Now, the Jerusalem Prophecy College is 11 semesters, 155 lessons. Every lesson is about an hour. You'll listen to me as I'm teaching the lesson, and then you'll have an outline to follow along. Plus, you will then take a quiz. Once you take the quiz, you push the button, it grades it for you. If you get the sufficient number of answers right, you go on to the next lesson. The first semester, I think, is 18 lessons. Now, what about the cost? We have made this so ridiculously cheap, it's hardly worth mentioning. We're talking about 13 lessons for $59. No, actually 18 lessons in that first series for $59. I mean, if you tried to go to a college somewhere for a semester for $59, they would laugh you out of the place. But we're not in this to make money. We have to make a little bit of money to keep the doors open and to stay on the air. But we have priced this ridiculously cheap. For your gift of $59, you can go through each semester, and you only have to pay one semester at a time. So I would urge everybody out there, enroll in the Jerusalem Prophecy College. And what a fabulous Christmas gift. You can pay for the whole thing if you would like to. You can just, 11 semesters times $59, somewhere around $600 or so for the entire thing. And when you're done, you'll get a diploma from the Jerusalem Prophecy College, the only prophecy college that we know of in the entire world. And why shouldn't you attend that? Because we're living in a time of more prophetic fulfillment just ahead of us. The final 7 years is absolutely going to have more prophetic fulfillment than any other time. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, hear me. Please go to JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. Register, enroll in your first class. Now let's say that you get through the first 5 semesters. Well, you will have acquired a lot of knowledge that you desperately need. Now, I don't want you to stop. I want you to go through the whole thing, because the last half is as critical as the first half. It's going to be so important. Nevertheless, I'm just telling you that if you absolutely don't like it, or for some reason you don't see the value of it, you can stop along the way. But we don't want you to do that. Now, 2 years ago, November of 2017, we had 200 students in the Jerusalem Prophecy College. Today we have 3,600 students. 2 years later, it is growing exponentially. It needs to double and double and double again, because our whole world is getting ready to be thrust into these end time events. And the average person, most of the world, does not have a clue what it all means. I read an article today. Someone forwarded it to me, and it was someone talking about how in the world can Christians support Donald Trump. And they were naming off some of the stuff he does, his vulgar language, this. And I listened to the whole thing. Now, this is a person writing for a major publication. Not a clue what's going on. Well, you don't vote for Donald Trump because of his Christian character. Is he a born-again Christian? No, he's not. He wouldn't talk the way he does if he was yet. I wish he were. But so far, he's not. Now, he does give credit to God at times, but to defend him on a spiritual basis, I could not possibly do. But he's against world government. The Antichrist is alive today, planning on implementing a world government, and most of this world is for a world government. Furthermore, he's against the climate change accord, which is a vehicle to drive us into that one world government. And beyond that, there are so many other things. He does not want to surrender national sovereignty. He wants to keep our borders enforced. He wants to keep the Judeo-Christian values of the United States of America. Now, there was a king in the Old Testament. His name was Cyrus. He was the king of the Persians. And God used him to build the Jewish temple back. This present politician, Donald Trump, has moved our embassy to Jerusalem, recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and done many other things favorable to Israel. He's doing as much for Israel as Cyrus did. Now, was Cyrus a godly man? No, he was a heathen king. But when I read this article, I thought, what illiteracy. This man doesn't even know what the issues are. He probably thought he was right, saying, well, you shouldn't vote for Trump. But, of course, the alternative would be to vote for who knows who, somebody that believes in killing babies all the way up to the 9 months. That would be absolutely horrendous. But the issue is not the political party. The issue is the issues. What are we really dealing with here? Against abortion. Absolutely. We can't go on killing millions and millions and millions of babies. It is unconscionable. And then beyond that, to be for world government, global governance, they like to call it. To be for multilateralism, which means rule by one world government. To be for socialism. And almost every person presently running for office under the Democratic Party is a socialist. The Bible prophesies a one world socialistic government for the times just ahead. Those are the issues that are important. If you're looking for a pastor or some kind of a spiritual leader to head the nation, I don't know of one out there on either the Republican or the Democratic Party. I don't know of one. Maybe there is one I don't know about. But that's not the issues. We have to vote. We have to know what the Bible says is coming, and then we can know which way we should vote to be on the Lord's side and not on Satan's side. Okay, so much for that. We may decide to bring that article back here one of these days and go through it more thoroughly, because I was absolutely stunned at the lack of understanding of this person that wrote this article. Anyway, okay, well, listen, we're going to get to the phones. And I think I have time for Jim in the truck. Let's go to Jim in the truck, calling from somewhere. Hello, Jim.
Hey, it's not the last Trump there. I'll tell you, Irvin, it's not the last Trump, but you know what? It's you talk about the Jerusalem Prophecy College, and I think it's more than vital, especially for new-time listeners. It's going to be part of your eternity. The Bible says, my people perish from a lack of knowledge. Well, you're going to get more knowledge with this than anywhere else. And I just believe it's vital, more than vital. It's eternally settling. But what I wanted to talk about was, you're mentioning behind closed doors and smoke-filled rooms. Well, the enemies of Israel, like you said, with Egypt, they're planning to do something in the Gaza Strip area. Well, just recently there were rockets launched at a military base by Iranian forces. Their final mission is to kill Israel. That's what they're planning to do. Irregardless of what they're trying to form coalitions and try to make ties with Israel, at the end of the day, then the other smoke-filled rooms, they're planning their demise. So that's all I wanted to say about that. I just want to know what you think about all that.
Well, we're about out of time in this particular segment. I may have to comment more on it when I get back. But the truth of the matter is, I'm praying, Jim, that God will give Israel the prime minister he wants Israel to have, even if he wants Israel to sign a deal that they should not sign because they're not serving him like they should. I don't know what's going to happen, but God's will is going to be done. We're praying about that.
Does the book of Revelation frighten you? Do its symbols confuse you? For centuries, the book of Revelation has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. In Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ, Volume 1, Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. This 10-part definitive DVD series and 268-page comprehensive commentary book covers the first 12 chapters of the book of Revelation, featuring on-location photography, classic artwork, and symbolic illustrations. You'll walk away with complete understanding and peace about the events happening during the final years on Earth. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding as you dig into the original intent of the book, answering the mysterious prophecies and symbols of the book of Revelation. Don't miss this special offer. Call now, 1-800-ENDTIME, or go to endtime.com to order. Call or go online now to get this comprehensive Bible study.
Oh, by the way, that Bible study you just heard about, the ultimate Christmas gift. I'm talking about 10 hours of animated prophetic explanation of the first 12 chapters of the book of Revelation, together with a gorgeous hardback book. It's the ultimate gift. If you're looking for that, if that person has any interest whatsoever in world events, what the future holds, or biblical prophecy, get the Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. It's available to you right now today. Give us a call, 1-800-ENDTIME, or you can go to our website, endtime.com, and you can order it there. I'm telling you, it is gorgeous. Nothing like it in the world. Nothing ever like it about the book of Revelation. And it is the ultimate Christmas gift. Maybe you would like to ask your husband or wife or children or whoever for that for Christmas. You still have time. Tell them to jump on the phone, call us 800 Endtime. They can get it ordered, and we'll get it right to you before Christmas time. Let's get back to the phones. Gary's calling now from Texas. Hello, Gary.
Hello, Irvin. Thanks for taking my call. If, in effect, the peace treaty is signed, let's say, in the first few months of 2020, where does the Six Trumpet War fit into the scenario? I'm just wondering about that because that's supposed to be coming up sometime around when the peace treaty is signed, isn't it?
Yeah, the Six Trumpet War has to happen before the final 3.5 years. So if the peace treaty would be signed in the next few months, that would start the final 7 years. During that first 3.5 years, the Six Trumpet War would have to happen. You know, you called in about this, and I just noticed today this article from Debka File. It's entitled, Iran, Russia, and China Schedule Joint Naval Drills in the Indian Ocean. And this was just yesterday. Iranian Navy Commander Rear Admiral Hussein Khanzadi confirmed on Tuesday that Iran, Russia, and China will hold joint naval drills in the Indian Ocean from December the 22nd of this year to January the 20th of 2020. So when you get India, Russia, and Iran together, you got a definite chance at this war you're talking about, Gary.
Is it India or China?
No, it's China, Russia, and Iran.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that war just chills me to the bone. I'm telling you.
Well, it does, and it is coming. We just, we don't have the timing exactly, but once they sign this peace agreement, and once we know for sure it's the agreement that launches the final 7 years, then we're going to be able to chart events everywhere we go. And of course, my biggest concern above the war, above everything, is the revival that God has promised us, the greatest revival the world has ever known. And that's the reason, Gary, I'm urging everyone, get yourself ready for this revival by attending the Jerusalem Prophecy College, because if we could have 100,000 people that graduate from that college in the next 1 year, it would give us a mighty army to really perpetrate this great revival. If you want to read about the revival in the book of Revelation, it's the 7th chapter. There's going to be a Jewish revival, verses 1 through 8. There's going to be a Gentile revival, verses 9 through 15. And it's all laid out there for us. It's like God wanted us to know. But it's not enough to know it's coming. We've got to prepare for it. And I guess you can tell I really feel strongly about this. But anyway, the Sixth Trumpet War. When I saw this article, I thought, oh my goodness, that would be the perfect scenario for the Sixth Trumpet War, especially since we have one of our aircraft carriers in that area as well. So we're definitely playing with dynamite right now.
Well, it's prophesied in Revelation chapter what?
The revival is prophesied in Revelation 7.
7, okay.
The first 8 verses is the sealing of the 144,000 Jews, and then the next 5 or 6 verses, it says, after this I saw a great multitude that no man could number, out of every kindred, every people, every nation, every tongue. And it says there, these are they that come out of great tribulation, and they've washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So we see a Jewish revival and a Gentile revival mixed, and it'll all be happening during this final 7-year period.
Well, great. Thank you for taking my call, and I'll talk to you another time.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. Let's go now to Florida. Cindy's calling from Florida. Hello, Cindy. Cindy, are you with me? Okay, I'll wait on Cindy for just a moment till she gets her question all together here. But nevertheless, there is so much for us to do, you and me, because I got this article today. Heartfelt call to Europe's Jews. Europe is doomed. Leave. Now, part of our big effort for 2020 is going to be to get every Jew out of Europe, if at all possible. And we're going to be cooperating with the Jewish Agency to get this done. There's 1.2 to 1.6 million Jews in Europe. Well, whoever did this article, let me see if I can tell you, it showed up in the Israel National News. And this man was speaking so passionately. I don't think he's a Christian man. I think he's Jewish. Nevertheless, it was his heartfelt call to Europe's Jews to get out of Europe. All right, let's back up now and let's go back to Florida. Cindy, hello. Okay. I don't know what they're doing out there, but anyway. Okay. Hello, Cindy.
Hi there, Dr. Baxter. I'm going to try to be brief, and I appreciate you. I know this is not an end-time question, but I desperately need help. I've listened to your program. You've had callers come in about homosexuality, how to deal with family members. I currently have a daughter that has now claimed to be a lesbian, and she is now in a lesbian relationship, looking to getting married. I did what you had advised others to do. I told her that in my home, I didn't want that relationship. She's always welcome, open arms. You know, we love her. We love her to be part of our family, but she has been upset about that and just does not want to have anything to do with us, won't even come visit our family or anything like that. And so, of course, the doubt comes whether I'm doing the right thing. I don't know if I'm listening to the enemy or if I'm listening to God. So I just need, a quick sense of, I don't know how to deal with it. I pray, I fast for her. I know things take time, and I know it'll be in God's perfect timing, but I miss her. I haven't talked to her in over a year, and I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing.
Well, Cindy, first of all, you got to ask yourself this question. Should you bring sodomy into your home?
Absolutely not.
Well, then you're doing the right thing. Now, the other thing is, though, every chance you get, tell her you love her. If she will not give you that chance, pray about it. God has a way of bringing those things around. Now, I've been through something similar to this, not homosexuality, but in my life, with one daughter we went through a time when we didn't get to see her or talk to her for a long time. So I've been through what you're talking about, and all I can tell you is love her, pray for her, but do not compromise with her.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much.
Well, and we'll be praying with you. I'd like to ask everybody listening today, remember Cindy from Florida. Remember her family, because this is an evil spirit. Homosexuality, Cindy said it's not a prophecy question, but it really is, because the Bible says, as it was in the days of Lot, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And the prevalent societal condition in Lot's time was homosexuality. He lived in Sodom and Gomorrah. So it is very much a prophecy question, and it is a prophetic condition that homosexuality is on such a rise in our world right now. But we don't fight against flesh and blood. And Cindy, you're not fighting against your daughter. You're fighting against powers, principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. Keep praying, keep fasting, hold on to God, and tell God, God, you promised me. You have promised to hear my prayer, and I'm talking about prevail with God in prayer, because God has promised to hear your prayer. So we'll be praying with you, Cindy. God bless you very much.
Amen. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Now from Facebook, Donna is calling and wants to know, I've heard that Jesus will return twice. Is this biblical? No, he will not return twice. He has come once. The first time he came as the Lamb of God to take away the sins of the world. He's coming once again. The Bible calls it the second coming. He will appear the second time without sin unto salvation. So Jesus is going to come again, and he will come again at the end of the 7-year period that we've been discussing on the program today. So there are some people who believe Jesus is going to return twice. They believe he's going to come secretly and catch away people in the rapture, and then he's going to come back 7 years after that, at which time he will destroy the Antichrist, the false prophet, and establish his kingdom upon the face of the earth. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a biblical stance. You cannot find that in the Bible. And I would be happy if it were so, but it's not so. So if you want to read about the return of Jesus to this earth, go straight to Matthew 24, verse 29 through 31. Jesus is the one that spoke Matthew 24. It's called the Olivet Discourse. And Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, the moon will not give her light, the stars will fall from heaven. Then shall appear the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, and he will send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet to gather his elect from the four winds of the heavens. Now that is the only coming. It happens immediately after the tribulation of those days, and that's the time when he will gather his elect. He's not going to gather his elect twice. There's no scripture for that. It's only going to be one time. And so, no, there's not going to be two returns. There's only going to be one return. The Bible says that he will come and we will be resurrected. The Bible says that we will be raised and all of those that are ready at his coming. The word coming there is not plural, it is singular. So it's important for us to realize that. Okay, now, before we go today, and we're just about out of time, let me say to all of you out there, I hope that you are taking seriously what we're going through right now. If you have not enrolled in the Jerusalem Prophecy College, do it. Do it today. JerusalemProphecyCollege.com. Register and then get started with your first semester. Now, let me tell you, you say, I don't have the time to do this. Oh, you do have the time. If you've got time to eat, you've got time to do this. But if you are a busy person, you don't feel like you have time, I urge you to set aside 30 minutes a day. That's all. Let's just say you decide to get up 30 minutes early. Now, most of us can do that. Get up 30 minutes early and quickly go through your 30-minute study. You'll be surprised at how far you will get and how fast you will go through it. Now, in addition to that, if you do not yet have our brand new, the best thing you could ever have on the book of Revelation, it's called Revelation, the Unveiling of Jesus Christ. If you do not yet have that, brand new, the best thing we've ever done here at Endtime, pick up the phone and call us right now, 1-800-ENDTIME, or go to go to endtime.com and get your own copy of the Revelation.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.